coming to you with the best fits from this draft class for the Denver Broncos, the whole AFC West. Some big-time risers, a little look ahead at the trade deadline and what the Broncos could do in free agency, how this draft class aligns with those needs, and a whole lot more now.
Oh, fuck. Can't find. This is bad. This is bad. It's not working properly. The intro thing is gone. Boys.
Woo! Draft pod in full effect from the
This
Toyota Lounge.
is not good.
What a
The-
time to be
The
alive.
intro
Driven by
thing
your
was like
front-range
intro
Toyota
tab for
stores.
eCam is
Of
completely
course,
gone. How do
Toyota,
I
the
fix
official
that?
vehicle of DNVR. We're
Like
getting
it
our
has the
tweets
overlays,
out.
but it doesn't have like
I am
the stuff where
football
intro and
obsessed right now. Obsessed.
It's November. Welcome, brother.
It's the
Welcome.
best.
Can
It's the best. So
window.
chaos is in the air.
Okay.
It shall happen. I can tell the people who maybe haven't had to
Yo,
follow the college
it doesn't
football
have
playoff
window
race as
and
intently as we like
eCam
to.
live.
Yeah.
Because, for example, with us, could be
Main screen.
Yep.
Yep, I get it.
they assume like, oh man, there's just not a path for this one lost team to lose or this undefeated team. November. Every.
This is when Heisman runs are made. This is when championship runs are made. This is when
Scenes.
championship collapses
Okay, show
happen.
scenes
This
window.
is
Okay,
what
gotcha.
determines who's going to get fired.
Yeah, I
basically.
gotcha.
It's
Shit.
fun.
It's
Yeah,
glorious.
okay,
I
that's-
cannot wait.
Holy shit.
We also have the Broncos
Yeah, I
and
just didn't get
the
intro and
nice
stuff.
playoff
So.
race, excitement, all sorts of topics to get into. So, yeah, man, let's start us off. And we're gonna start it
No, you're
off.
totally fine.
First segment, what I want to get into is the best
Thought that
draft fits for the Broncos.
Okay.
everything is
And
good.
I think that will allow us to kind of talk about the different position classes,
Yeah, I just
at the
can't
need
get
positions for the
look
Broncos
at
and how
comments and stuff.
things could unfold. So let's start there.
Okay.
I gave you 4 to 5. We each get 4 to 5. We'll alternate, but I'll let you start us off. Tell me, who's your top draft?
My top draft fit. I think it's Ted Rogan.
How do
Outside
I
of Travis
turn on the
Hunter,
trap?
of course, too. We've talked and we've done mock drafts. You're gonna have to be picking in the top 3, maybe even top 2 or 1 to get Travis Hunter. I'm letting the dream go,
Yeah.
and
I know, they're too good.
he is. Yeah, they're too good, which is crazy. Travis is too good too, and T-Mac might be in this conversation too, because the Broncos could be picking a lot higher than we initially thought.
Yeah, I've kind of put my heart to rest that Travis certainly out of
I need
reach.
to turn on
T-Mac,
Toyota.
who I think with his performance this season has kind of put himself as the favorite
Not
to
Toyota.
be wide receiver one, and also Ashton Jeanty, who would be a
Where's Toyota
tremendous
Lounge?
in Sean Payton's offense. The way they like to run the football,
Okay.
he would fit so perfectly. I kind of think the ship has sailed on those top 3.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah, it's over.
The fit's undeniable.
I'm just like, I'm pissed at myself. Sorry, dude.
It's just what they need. They need that go-to guy for Bo. They need someone who can work all 3 levels of the field and can kind of just take over a game by themselves.
100%. And, I mean, Sean Payton has really shown us he loves size at the wide receiver position.
Alright, work.
And this is something we saw at the Saints, too.
I think I'm all
and
set.
he's
I
tried to have
appreciate
those
you, man.
speedsters through the draft, and Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims.
I am not seeing comments again.
Though I'm still holding
Oh,
on.
I see comments. Okay, I see.
So that's the interesting thing about the
Yeah.
wide receivers.
I just can't get.
Because T-Max
I
certainly
just can't get
fits.
the
And I thought like
second
of the next
Dell on.
tier of wideouts, a Trey Harris who leads the country in receiving yards, really playing
No,
some
like, it just,
fantastic
like, isn't
football at
on.
Ole Miss right now. Corey Courtney
Yeah.
fits a lot of the size speed requirements you'd like. Jaden Higgins at some ways can kind of marry Sean Payton's one for size, but also give you the speed. And the other thing I was thinking of is Franklin, Mims, you know, they're coming from college offenses where the route trees are kind of limited. And that's where Trey Harris maybe gives me a little pause. Do you want to go through that again?
Right. It's fair enough. It's a fair question.
And it's why the guy in this receiver class who I think would be a perfect fit is Emeka Egbuka. The wideout for Ohio State Buckeyes. He's, oddly enough, blows up on the scene as a sophomore, kind of taking away the shine from Jackson Smith and Jigba, right, in what was supposed to be his big season. Then what was supposed to be Egbuka's big season, Marvin Harrison Jr. takes over, and he dealt with some injuries last year. Now he's supposed to be the guy, but they've got this freshman Smith who's outshining him.
Yep.
So Egbuka keeps kind of flying under the radar, but I think he's still very much a top 25 type of talent.
Yeah. The numbers are lining up pretty well this year.
They really are. He's top 5 in the Big Ten in receiving yards, I believe. And he's 6'1", 205. Good, strong frame, decent size, good speed, really nice route runner, really nice hands, ability to catch the ball away from his body. You know, I think he would truly be a perfect fit, and a perfect fit at the Broncos' biggest position.
Yes. I don't want to see them go like this, the men's Franklin route again. And I don't know, maybe this is unfair to him, but like Isaiah Bond is not a guy who I think would ideally fit this offense. Because he has the speed, but as you said, you need that route runner, you need someone in the middle, you need someone who can win a one-on-one matchup against some of the best quarterbacks in the league and create separation with ease, really. Luther Burden I'd be intrigued by. I don't know where you're at with him right now.
This
Yeah,
season's
is that
been
better?
really underwhelming.
It has. But he wasn't gone. He was an absolute.
And I mean, him and Bond as one of those playmakers.
I mean, I think here.
ALLCITY Manor from Stanford. You want to talk about size and fitting
Just
Sean
come on.
Payton mold at wide receiver? That's a guy who could absolutely do that. Iowa State's got some big guys too.
So, handful of receivers there.
Okay, and we're having some audio issues. We're trying to figure that out
Oh
here.
no.
So,
Are we live?
Yeah, give us a sec on that, chat. I know.
Stand by, chat.
Stand by.
Sorry guys, I can hear on my end perfectly fine. I don't know.
Okay. Are we back? Chat's saying, "Wow, finally." Okay.
Hello, chat.
Hello, chat. We missed you, Toyota chat. We love you. Sorry about that. Okay, beautiful. We were talking wide receivers.
Yeah.
Emeka Egbuka, perfect fit. You threw out T-Mac, another perfect fit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking through some of the other wide receivers, and you threw out a size savant.
ALLCITY Manor
Yeah.
from Stanford.
Yes.
That's the mold that Sean Payton's looking for at wide receiver. Physically dominant. Someone who not just wins in the jump ball, excels in a jump ball
Yeah.
scenario, 50-50 scenario.
Yeah.
I get it, but I think that personally I learned something at least from the Panthers when they were trying to surround Cam Newton with targets, and they kept on going for the Kelvin Benjamins, the Devin Funchess, the big targets, but they didn't really excel on offense, and they did early because it was Steve Smith. It was these route runners. It was Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore. Like those are the type of guys that I want to see playing wide receiver in Denver.
Yeah, 100%. I think those guys fit really nicely. And then you think about some of the speed factors out there. Ty Felton leads the Big Ten in receiving yards in Maryland. Very Xavier Worthy-esque. Very Xavier Worthy-esque. Again, Torrey Horton, I think, is really intriguing. You're going to have to figure out the medicals. Jalen Royal staying in the Mountain West, Utah State. More of a Debo type. Even what he really reminds me of is Corey Coleman at Baylor.
Okay.
Similar offense, you know. He'd be really nice. And then Tez Johnson, the Oregon kid who was one of Bo's favorite targets, would be a phenomenal fit and could be a really useful weapon that you could use similar to how the Chiefs use Xavier Worthy right now. You know, a guy you move around the formation. Who else do you have as a fit? Was Ayo Minor your second fit? Do I go with my second guy?
Yeah, sure. Go with yours.
Colston Loveland.
I mean,
the
my
Michigan
gosh.
State game, his latest game, you saw what a weapon he is as a guy that can be moved around the formation, as a big slot tight end receiver that, you know, can be put in all sorts of different alignments. He's an okay blocker. But I think fair to say in this draft class, he's as close as you're going to get to Jimmy Graham, which is the S tier ideal fit tight end version for a Sean Payton offense, right?
Sure.
So that's a guy that really stands out of all the most obvious ones. That's the one for sure. That if the Broncos are just drafting outside of the top 15, it's like, yeah, don't overthink it. Take Colston Loveland because he fits perfectly as a move tight end.
Do you get nervous, though, just drafting another first-round tight end?
Yeah.
It takes some time. Like, Bowers is balling right now. That's not normal for first-year NFL tight end.
Laporta playing as well as he did year
Him
one
too,
was
yes.
also a bit of an anomaly. I mean, shoot, Trey McBride being a top 50 pick and panning out as quickly as he has is also a bit of an anomaly. You're right, man. Tight end does scare me a little bit, but it scares me less when you have Sean Payton at the helm.
That's a good point, yes.
And like a young offense to build around. And there's also a ton of options at tight end, which I'm excited
this is
to
a
get
great
into.
class for tight end.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. You want to give us your next fit?
Yeah, I'm going to go to running back. I'm going to throw out Omarion Hampton from North Carolina.
I had him too. He would be perfect, man.
He'd be so fun.
It's exactly the kind of running back that this offense needs, that the Sean Payton offense needs, is a guy like Omarion Hampton at UNC, speedy, just cut you up laterally, just a beast, man. Such a factor. Deceptive size, could be a factor in the run game. Good pass protector. He'd be RB1 in a lot of drafts, man.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks into the first. He's that good.
58 career receptions, too. 23 of them coming this year, 29 last year, and we're
Damn
only
straight.
8 games in. Already over 1,000 yards. He's averaged over 4 yards per carry every season. He averages 5.6 yards in his career. He's a really good back. But yeah, we need a threat out of the backfield in the passing game. Maybe even split him out wide. You just need someone in the screen game. Sean Payton has a great history in the screen game.
Yes.
Pierre
Yes, he
Thomas
does.
was
Yes,
a
he does.
monster
Yes,
in New
he does.
Orleans because of that.
Yeah.
Let's get back to some of that.
Yeah. Hampton would be dynamic in that. I'm sure we'll get at least one comment about, I don't know about after Javonte if I'd go with another UNC back.
No.
That's the way fans think. I would never think that way. He's been really spectacular. He was on my list. I'm glad you mentioned it, so I can bring up another running back. And then I've got another tight end name. We'll get into a couple other AFC West teams, all on the other side of this break. I got to tell you guys, when we have technical difficulties, my poor kiddo was sick yesterday, so I missed the draft pod. It's why we had to move it. Thank you all for tuning in. And, my poor kid, she's sick at Halloween. There's only so many years that you have a little kid that enjoys Halloween, enjoys doing it with you, and she's sick. It's just terrible. But you got to take a sec. You got to just Find that inner chill, grind some film, do what makes
There
you
go.
happy.
There you go.
And there's no better way to do it than with a Coors Light in your hand, a nice chill hand, sir. It goes down so smooth. The mountains turn blue, cold as the Rockies. Built here in Colorado. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Goes down so smoothly. I can have a couple. I don't feel terrible. Love me some Coors Light and their mountain cold refreshment that it brings me. Make the most of the times you choose to chill and choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. You know what it is. That sounds really nice tonight. And then, of course, the homies at Bet365. Bet365 been with us a minute. Exclusive betting partner of DNVR. They have some fantastic new sign-up offers right now when you sign up using our code DNVR365. We're going to give you some college picks at the end of this here segment. But if you sign up right now, you download the Bet365 app, you use our code DNVR365, deposit $10 and place a bet of $5 or more. You'll get $200 in bonus bets as soon as that bet is settled, win, lose, or draw. And then that code will also get you the first 2 months free on Altitude Plus, courtesy of Bet365 on them. Such a great deal. So yeah, Bet365, man, they're amazing. They've got draft odds on there too. Shador making a move as the favorite to be the first overall pick.
As
the
he
value
should.
was crazy before. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Of course, must be 21 plus. Physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay. You give me the best running back fit, I think. Not named Ashton Genty, of course.
Yeah.
I think Quinshon Judkins would also be a really nice fit. It's very similar profile to Hampton. It's that receiving type of back. Speedster, great lateral mover. And just the guy that you trust in all avenues. You trust on third down. Can be a mismatch for you in the passing game.
Yep.
So I'm really high on Judkins. The running back class in general is
a great running back
stacked,
class.
man. Trevor Etienne's coming around. Damian Martinez is starting to look really good. So
the Big 12. DJ Giddens at K-State. You got Devin Neal at Kansas.
Devin Neal would fit the Broncos nicely. He fits a lot of that profile. RJ Harvey, man.
RJ Harvey, absolutely.
So you could almost double up in this running back class.
I think Cam Scatterboo's the best running back in the Big 12.
He's got some receiving chops, too.
Yes, he's an all-around player.
He is fantastic. So, yeah, I wouldn't, Javante's contract is up. I could easily see them doubling up
I think you've
in this
got
rookie
to.
class,
I think
It's that stacked.
You've got to take at least one, I think.
For sure. I love Caleb Johnson at Iowa.
Yeah, he's been
Love
balling
him.
too.
He's incredible.
Taj Brooks at Texas Tech. I mean, there's so many of these guys.
No, I know. Jordan James at Oregon's been killing it.
Your guy Rocket Sanders, there's a ton of them. So
Nick Singleton's going to have a huge week for Penn State. Potentially, Travion Henderson's still there. It's Dylan Sampson's playing some great ball. We haven't even brought up Ollie Gordon.
He's been hurt, but Ollie Gordon has been doing what he does, really. I mean, he's carrying defenders and moving the pile. So.
Yeah, so if you're disappointed, the Broncos are out of range for Ashton Genty, it is disappointing because Genty's that special. You're going to have some great fallback options.
Yeah.
Give me one more fit, and I'll give you one more, and then we'll move on rapid fire on the rest of the AFC West.
I am going to go to the defensive side of the ball, actually.
Ooh.
And can I cheat and throw two out?
Sure.
Because I like both these guys.
Yeah.
Defensive linemen Deion Walker and Walter Nolan.
Okay, we're talking here. Yeah, Kentucky and Ole Miss.
Yep.
Both really having great seasons.
They're different, though.
Very different.
Deion Walker is unbelievable. He is massive, and people that big just should not be able to move like that.
He's a people eater, yeah,
He
man.
fits into one of those molds. He can two-gap. He's going to own the one technique, zero technique, right over the center.
Yep.
Walter Nolan, though, Probably more of a 3 technique.
Yes.
But also has, the similar ability to penetrate, and just the athleticism, I think, also is very impressive for his size, even though obviously smaller than Deion Walker. But, doing this exercise, I was thinking about it, like, this team doesn't take linebackers. They don't really invest in linebackers. And they've kind of just gotten by with these guys. I mean, Barton comes in and he's just balling out. You know what I mean? So I kind of just decided to ignore linebacker too, just like the Broncos do. Edge has been, what are they, leading the NFL in pressures right now? Like, you could do with another edge for sure.
They're all young and talented. Yep.
But I think if you get an interior beast from this draft class, that's how you actually take the next step as a defense.
Yeah. I really have stayed focused on the offense. Tight end, I think.
Yes.
You're just not done. And Harold Fannin Jr. is 3rd in the nation in receiving yards, despite being a tight end / fullback at Bowling Green. Right now, he's more of a receiving tight end. It's more of a projection, him being a receiving fullback type, because he is an undersized tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sean Payton could really find a great way to utilize him, whether it's as an Evan Ingram, just receiving tight end, whether it is with some backfield stuff. You could double up this year, get a vet and get someone from this draft class. This tight end class is really good. Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt's another guy who kind of fits that profile. You're going to have a lot of options. Brant Kuthi, I could name a bunch.
I said his name earlier, I think, but Jack Velling, the Oregon State tight end who went to Michigan State with Jonathan Smith and all those guys, that guy's a weapon.
That's a great one to
It's
throw
like
out.
6'5", 245.
100%. Miami's got a kid. I mean, Georgia's got the 2 guys. I love Tyler Warren. I love Mason Taylor at LSU. Yeah, man, the 2 Colorado kids we talked about last week. I mean,
And Colorado just
Stacked.
played a good tight end in Joe Royer at Cincinnati, too,
yeah.
last week. That guy's a good player.
Cincinnati had a lot of pros. Okay, the rest of the AFC West. Honestly, starting with the Chargers, I think it's Igbuka, Loveland, same as the Broncos.
Yeah, Herbert's kind of getting killed, too. I could see another offensive lineman
Yeah,
from Jim Harbaugh.
sure.
But they need a wide receiver desperately. Ladd's made some plays, McConkey,
Coming around.
but you need more. You need to surround Justin Herbert with something better than what they have.
For sure. Raiders?
They also need a wide receiver.
They do, yes, because they need a quarterback badly. They need O-line help probably more than anyone else in the division. That's saying something.
Yeah, they are. They need help everywhere, honestly. I do think that there's a real possibility Shedeur Sanders is the next Las Vegas Raiders quarterback.
100%. 100%.
Lot
The
of
Tom Brady
connections.
connection,
Yep.
above all. Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah.
That would suck. We got to see what they do at quarterback as well. Chiefs, another wide receiver needy team. They're starting Wyatt Morrison, the Oklahoma guy, who we did not like at left tackle, though.
Oh, wow. Well, they've done this, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trey Smith had a terrible senior year at Tennessee, dropped all the way to the 6th round, took that guy, and he's been like lockdown for them at right guard ever since he's come into the NFL. They need a wide receiver too, I think, though. I mean, they bring in DeAndre Hopkins.
Whose contract will be up. Worthy, of course, was a first-round investment.
But you have this Rashee Rice thing.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's
a big one.
There's no resolution there with the court case and all this stuff. So there's a very real possibility that, one, he may not be healthy for the start of camp next year, and he might be suspended.
Yeah, not great. I'll say they do really well with big O linemen. And they like O linemen who can move around.
Yeah.
Ariante Irsay, the Minnesota kid, would be a perfect system fit.
Guy's fun.
Perfect fit. You think they do anything in trade-wise? Cup off the market. I don't know that Garrett Wilson's really going to be available. Olave maybe more so, but I doubt it. Njoku seems too expensive. And then after that, it's like, would you pick up Miles Sanders, who got overpaid in Carolina? Would you overpay for Njoku in Cleveland?
Why would the rest of the NFL help this team out?
I know.
They shouldn't. But, I mean, yeah.
Is Mike Williams at a nothing price intriguing to you?
Never been a Mike Williams guy.
Samesies.
I mean, the names you said, I mean, it's Garrett Wilson, Cooper Kupp. To me, those are needle movers.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to deal with the Kupp contract, obviously. And you're probably going to have to pay quite a bit, especially after last night, for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it depends. Like T. Higgins, right? Are we talking T.
Yeah.
Higgins still?
Yeah. If you're looking as more of free agency,
Oh, yeah.
Higgins, Chris Godwin's who's out, Diggs, Hopkins, Amari Cooper are kind of the top guys. Godwin pre-injury would have intrigued me a lot.
Yes.
Post-injury, maybe you can get him at a discount, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work for DeAndre Hopkins here, like, soon, it might be over.
Yeah.
Are we still on the Chiefs? Are we going to Broncos free agency?
Yeah, Broncos free agency. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, just outlook for next year. Sutton has one more year.
Yeah.
I just listed off the top wideouts in free agency. This is why I think you build through the draft, man.
You have to. You have to. They've been trying to take these young receivers, and
They haven't taken any early outside of Judy, though.
yes, but
I guess Mims was a second-round pick. That's pretty high.
it's a bad stretch of misses, though, of trying to take wide receivers to add to this team. Of all those names, if you could add one, and I think that would really help this wide receiver core, it'd be Amari Cooper for me.
Interesting. He does give you something the other guys don't have necessarily.
Yeah,
Same with Godwin to me.
but he's just more well-rounded, I think, than a lot of those guys. Godwin, too. He's just got the injury, obviously, right? Kupp would be incredible. It's just you're going to have to take on...
sailed.
You'd have to take on a crazy contract, and you probably have to give up at least, a second-rounder, maybe even more?
Yeah, maybe you can get away with it for a third-rounder, but again, I'm not sure they're really sellers.
So I agree. Build through the draft, but if there is one wide receiver target, I would be very intrigued by getting Amari Cooper to be a Bronco.
What about the running back free agent options? Javonte would be one.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's Najee Harris, Nick Chubb, James Conner, Aaron Jones, Alexander Madison. And if you want more of a receiving back specialist, I don't know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jermichael Hasty. I know people are hearing this and throwing up in their mouth
none
from
of these
those
move me.
options. Yeah.
If I had to pick one, I'd pick Najee, just because of age.
I think James Conner in this offense could be quite intriguing.
He's been one of the most underrated players in the entire NFL.
No doubt about it.
He just
No
keeps
doubt
churning
about
out
it.
yards. But I'd be intrigued by Najee because of, I mean, he really has been splitting time the last 2 years with Warren. So, and Sean Payton he likes to diversify his backfield, right? And I think he's gotten away from that a bit here in Denver.
Yeah, a little
And
bit.
maybe Najee doesn't fit that because, I mean, what's really the difference between him and Javonte and Audric Estimate? They're big backs who are just pummeling ahead. You know what I mean? We need more skill sets.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Najee is when he was at Alabama, pretty good receiving back.
Yep.
So he could marry both be your big back solution and your receiving back solution. He hasn't showed that ton of dynamicism. We'll talk tight end options in free agency and get to the latest risers, Jake, because there's a lot of movement in the latest mocks and some at offensive positions that would make sense. All on the other side of this break here. And, of course, it's draft season, baby. That means raising Canes season.
Yes,
it's not
sir.
really draft season. All year round. Raising Canes and us with the draft. We don't care. We don't care if the combine's around the corner or if it's November and the leaves are changing and it's all college football all the time, or if it's the dead of the summer and the draft has just passed and we're sickos for grinding it. Raising Canes is there with us every step of the way. You love to see it, and you love to get some of Canes' delicious hand-battered chicken fingers. So tender on the inside, crispy on the outside, made to order for you. It's the best. And you put them together with some cane sauce, some slaw, some Texas toast, a little sweet tea. Oh,
I'm so hungry right now. This
yeah,
is torture.
I am too. We're going to have some stuff coming in. For cooked to order, hand-battered chicken fingers, race to Raising Cane's. Turbocharge your chicken fingers and get them even faster by ordering online, raisingcanes.com, or through their mobile app. Raising Cane's chicken fingers.
One love.
One love, baby. You know it. And speaking of one love, boy, can you feel the love at our events, whether it's here at the DNVR bar, at a tailgate by Folsom Field, Broncos Stadium, you name it, baby. I don't even know what the sponsor is attached to Broncos Stadium anymore. I've done such a good job protesting it that it's just Mile High. It's back to Mile High in full for me.
Are we still in Power Field? Might be. I don't know.
Could fool me. Those Broncos tailgates are amazing. Check them out. Those Buff tailgates are incredible.
Yeah,
Check
come
them
hang.
out. Avs and Nuggets takeover season is so back. Those are amazing deals, amazing fan experiences for our people. Check all of that out at ddnvr.com/events. Follow us on social at DNVR_sports to check out all the latest stuff. Or again, our website, thednvr.com/events. There you go. Okay, Jakester. We talked about the running back options. Nothing really moves you. The wide receiver options, it's kind of like, meh, we'd have to overpay one. And
Yeah.
Sutton's already getting a decent amount of moolah.
Yep.
Then the left tackle. Bulls' contract will be up. It's like Bulls, Cam Robinson, who just got traded to the Vikings. And then not much else, man. It's like guys who didn't pan out, who is like Jedrick Willis, who the Cleveland wasn't willing to give the 5th year to. You want to gamble on him. Tyron Smith,
Right.
the Sean Payton's old muse who hasn't worked out for the Jets at left tackle, and Olu Fashanu's quickly taking his job.
Yep.
Would you gamble on him, or do you just pay Bowles, who's only a couple years older than Cam Robinson at this point and has honestly played great?
I'd just re-sign Bowles.
That's what I think too, man.
Because you don't want to create another issue on this roster, man.
Correct.
Especially on the offensive side of the ball. Like, we already need help when it comes to weapons
I'm saying.
and targets. And the offensive line has been fine. And Bo has shown that he can, wiggle his way out of situations, take off when he has to, throw on the run. So I don't want to mess up what's going on up there. I'd keep Garrett Bowles.
100%. And then you're kind of left with tight end.
Yeah.
Tyler Conklin, meh.
I've always liked him, but yeah.
Look, as a veteran presence, I think he's an upgrade over a lot of what you got. Juwan James, Mo Alley Cox, Gesicki, Zach Ertz. That's the tier of what you're looking at, man. Because then
Gesicki and
Troutman's
Ertz.
also up, and
Right.
I don't,
What has he
at that
done?
point, I might keep Troutman. Like it's not that much of a difference from those other guys.
Gesicki and who's the one that you
Conklin.
said? No, the other one.
Juwan James.
Ertz.
Oh,
I'd be interested to kick the tire on him.
yeah, and then just find a veteran to kind of be your blocking tight end and
Yeah.
draft one.
I mean, yes, number one, draft a tight end. But
I really wonder how they use this cap in the end. I think you get one running back. You probably get one veteran tight end.
Mhm.
And then you decide, do you splash the cash at wide receiver? And there's some options.
there are some options. I don't know if that'd be the wise thing to do,
I know.
but I wouldn't blame them if George Payton and Sean Payton just said, we got to just go get a guy.
I mean, some way, somehow, you got to upgrade that receiver room.
Yes.
You just have to. Right now, you are not supporting Bo properly. And I mean, I think we're seeing it in year 2 of CJ Stroud. How much like the Nico Collins injury is.
And Diggs, too.
And Diggs is really impacting him and his ability to
Yeah.
really take that next step in year 2.
I think you've seen it
he's
with
regressed.
Trevor Lawrence, too.
Yeah.
They got him Brian Thomas this last offseason, but before that, they were doing what we were just talking about. Christian Kirks, DJ Charks of the world that they were bringing in.
I mean,
so.
shoot, it's showing up for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like, the wide receiving core he has is not good, and he's not playing good football because of it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think what we're landing on is, yes, re-sign Bulls, figure out money to give to a wideout, find an alternative to Javonte in free agency, and then you kind of got to hit running back, wide receiver, and tight end in the draft.
And I wouldn't be upset if you tried to double up at multiple of those positions.
Right.
That's how much we need help at the skill positions.
Completely agree. And I think wide receiver, it's a nice class to do that. Running back, it's a nice class.
Yep.
Honestly, tight end, it's a great class to do that.
It is.
So it lines up nicely for that.
What do you think would be like the ideal? Obviously, it's Sean Payton, but like, do you see them like trying to do the 2 tight end thing? Like, if you had to get 2 of in this next draft of 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, do you just go like more targets on the outside? Do you try and get a skill back and like a pounder, or do you try to get 2 tight ends? What would you want them to do the most?
I mean, I do think between free agency and the draft, you have the ability to double up on both.
Mm-hmm.
The one I would prioritize is probably wide receiver. And I think tight end might almost be second on that list.
Really? Okay.
I think running back one way or another, it's kind of going to come to you, you know?
I agree, and like I understand like this is just where we're at, where you just don't really invest in the running back position, especially long term.
Yeah.
But man, if they just had some speed out of the backfield, and you know, if they could run those RPOs and you have a home run threat in the backfield, and you have Bo able to run but also able to find another target down the field, to me that would make things move a lot better. And if Estimate could just hold on to the ball, maybe you need another big back too.
I know.
So
I know. Yeah, I mean, the ideal world is you build a Niners-like offense around Bo.
Yep.
Okay, let's get into some risers, man.
Okay.
Garrett Nussmeier, really kind of strongly in the QB1, but certainly QB2, 3 conversation. LSU's quarterback. And it's funny because he's coming off his worst game of the season.
Every single interception in that game from him was terrible.
Terrible. Doesn't have elite tools.
No.
Scares me because I see a lot of Kenny Pickett in the kid. There's
like
also some like Romo Burrow, dare I say?
I think he actually has really good anticipation and timing.
I do too. Good mobility and feel.
Yes.
He's just a bit of a risk taker, and when your ceiling as a passer and athlete isn't quite there,
Yeah.
you worry about striking that right balance, especially
Right.
at the next level.
Yeah, that was kind of my takeaways too. Like, he's a confident thrower, but it's almost too confident at times.
Right.
With what he tries to do. And
Right.
it's also just like he really likes to make tight window throws. I mean, I'm telling you, these throws are like zipping over cornerback shoulders to guys coming across the formation and stuff. Like, so this is just kind of how he's going to be, I think. I don't know how much of that you can fix, because that's what he does best too.
I know.
It's a reps thing, I think, for Garrett Nussmeier. He's thrown over 333 passes this year, but in his career, only 552 passes thrown.
Yeah, right. he's been at LSU his whole career, just waiting for this opportunity. So there's that too. But yeah, I mean, he's tied with Jalen Milroe for the odds of going first overall, plus 1,800 behind Shador, Cam Ward, Travis, Beck, and Ewers. So I mean, he's definitely rising quite a bit.
I like LSU's wide receivers too.
Yeah, that Lacey kid is really
Lacey
good.
and the Anderson kid.
Yes, he's a speed demon, and
Yeah.
I love tight end Mason Taylor.
Yep.
He's really good.
Yep.
Jason Taylor's kid.
Is he really?
He is. He is.
Wow.
100%. Yeah, Nussmeier's an interesting one that we'll have to keep following. Well, Emory Jones, the right tackle for LSU, struggling. Stock down.
Yeah.
And Josh Simmons, the left tackle for Ohio State, who we've been talking about the last few episodes, injured, out for the rest of the year. Their backup left tackle also hurt. So Abdul Carter and the rest of that Penn State front will be able to feast while we have some fallers at the offensive tackle position. Wyatt Millum, in the conference you cover for West Virginia, is rising. He reminds me of Bowles in a lot of ways. Kind of physical structure, size, athleticism. I don't think he's as nasty or has the raw upside that Bowles necessarily had, but he is more polished, and I think he certainly warrants being in that first round conversation right now.
West Virginia's been, at times, have been one of the best teams in the country at running the football.
That's right. Green, that quarterback, he does his thing.
He does. They have a nice back too, but yeah, it's really the offensive line for West Virginia that have been the difference for them.
100%. Kyle Kennard, the edge from South Carolina, he is tied with Nick Scruton for the lead in the SEC in tackles for a loss, at least. They're two of the nation leaders. And Kennard for South Carolina is a Georgia Tech transfer, comes to South Carolina unheralded, and he's blowing up, man. He absolutely gave Bama fits, and Caden Proctor, I think he's the only guy who I've seen Bama's left tackle struggle with. He's the presumptive top left tackle in next year's 2026 class.
For sure.
And Will Campbell and Emory Jones, Campbell kind of thought of as the top tackle in this year's class. Emory Jones, seen as a first-round guy, he destroyed them, man. And he's got those stats in the SEC, and he has a great matchup against A&M. Kennard, I think, has some, like an outside shot of being edge 1, certainly edge 2 or 3 in this class. He is blowing up. Great combination of size at 6'5", motors relentless, bend and edge. Very, very talented defender in this class.
Love it. Yeah, he's been a real riser. He was only a 3-star prospect.
Dude, I know. I mean, I think it was Brugler was saying, like, coming into the season, undrafted grade, and he's skyrocketing. There's a pair of interior D linemen I want to touch on, 2 of which you've covered this season for the Buffs. Ty Robinson of Nebraska, Dante Corleone of Cincinnati, and then Omar Norman Law of Tennessee. Tennessee runs such a rotation. He's an Arizona State transfer. He's played really well this season.
Dante Corleone, we've seen him most recently last weekend. This guy is massive. Listed at 6'2", 305. I mean, Deion Walker's a bigger guy, I think.
Yeah.
But Dante Corleone has some similar attributes. They play him at the nose tackle in this like 3-3-5 stack defense. It's very Iowa State-ish in how they play defense at Cincinnati. And so Dante Corleone is asked to do a lot. He's asked to 2-gap. He's asked to really disengage and make a lot of plays at the point of attack. If not, plays are running downfield. So at one point this year, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago, he was like second in the country in defensive tackle pressures or something like that. So he can do it and get after the passer too. Ty Robinson's a monster in the run game.
Dude, and his tackle for a loss numbers, you'd be surprised. He's ahead of a lot of guys in the Big Ten who are way higher touted, like the Ohio State and Michigan kids.
Yep, 6'6", 310. 7 TFLs this year, 4 sacks.
Yeah,
from
he's
that
killing
position is awesome. Those guys, him and Hutmaker, I think is the other one's name.
Right.
They just took over the game in September against the Buffs. So They're very good football players. They might be Nebraska's best football players.
Big reason they hung around against Ohio State, too.
Yep.
LT Overton of Bama, number 22. He shows some flashes, man, as a rusher in that, like, 280-pound range. More of like a three-man front defensive end, a 5-tech. He's got some upside. And then I love Josiah Stewart at Michigan. Just as an undersized pass rusher, he's doing some fantastic things, as is Shamar Stewart of A&M. He's more of a Tavon Walker type. Like, you watch A&M's front for Scruton, and then it's like, whoa, who's this guy? Number 4. Holy cow.
Yeah.
His production isn't great, but he'll be rising up a bunch.
The CU boys?
Take a little programmatic there. And then, yes, the CU boys.
There's quite a few. The one that you have listed here, who is a true legitimate draft riser, is LaJohntay Wester, though. This guy was the entire offense at FAU the last 3 seasons. Caught over 100 passes a year. He was just an animal. Comes into Colorado, has to take on a different role where he's obviously not going to get fed like he was at FAU, but he's been as advertised. Has really emerged as a leader in the locker room, too. But the guy is so quick. He's so sudden. He's able to generate separation. He's caught like 18 of his last 19 targets from Shador, like clutch hands. Really, the only thing you can say about him is he's a smaller wide receiver.
He is.
That's the only real knock on him. He's really complete.
Real tank down mode.
Yes, I love that.
And then DJ McKinley, I don't know if he'll declare. It's a weird corner class. Where out after the top 2 guys, there's few guys that I'm really like lockdown corner labeled, you know. And the 2 that would, Benjamin Morrison and Siobhan Ravel, are injured. So I think DJ McKinney fits in nicely, the Oklahoma State transfer.
Yeah, man. He's extremely long and wiry, very competitive. You know, he's a young player, though, too. I think last year he was a redshirt freshman, so he is draft eligible this season. But there's still, I think, some strides that he can make in his game. I think I'd be surprised if he declared for the draft. Preston Hodge, though, is another cornerback from Colorado, another kind of undersized guy, maybe listed at like 5'11", but he's been making plays. He had an interception called back against Cincinnati. He's been really nice. They've got some edge rushers. Chidozie Nwankwo, the nose tackle, I'd look out for. And then, you know, they still have Will Shepard, too, another wide receiver. And Jimmy Horn.
Yeah. Jimmy Horn's on my list for sure. Let's get into some Week 10 picks, Jake.
Hell yes.
Because we've got some big one, and the big NFL draft matchup of the weekend is Ohio State at Penn State. There's these injuries on the O-line for Ohio State that are real tricky. It's an early game, not a night game, which I think helps the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
And then there's this Drew Aller. Will he play? How much do you trust Will Howard? Man, so many storylines going into this one. So many pros in this game, especially in the defensive lines and secondaries of these teams.
Apparently,
Penn State, 3-point dogs on the road.
Apparently, 11 minutes ago, On 3 reported Drew Aller's expected to start.
Okay. I do not love that. Also, Ryan Day, this is like the coach he owns, is James Franklin.
And this is kind of a moment for James Franklin, too, right? I mean, you got to
Sure
win
is.
one of these big games at some
Sure
point.
is, man. I mean, if they don't do it this year, I don't think they're ever going to do it, honestly, man.
I'm taking the Nittany Lions.
I'm super duper tempted as well. I am super tempted.
+3. Give it to me.
Yeah, I like it. Abdul Carter has to dominate. I mean, he has to do some of the stuff we've seen Ohio State's best edge rushers do in big spots. I'm talking like JT Tuamalo against Notre Dame. I'm talking Joey Bosa in that playoff run when they're down to Cardell Jones. Abdul Carter needs to look like a man among boys and solidify himself like a top 5 pick. Penn State's got to run the ball. Danny Dennis Sutton, the other edge for Penn State's got to eat. And their secondary's got to feast as well, starting with star safety Kevin Winston. I don't trust Will Howard,
Neither do I. I don't trust Ryan Day. I don't trust the Buckeyes. They're
But
going
I
to slip up at some point.
think I trust Will Howard more than I do Drew Aller or anyone else
Oh, for sure.
the State Penn's going to bring to the table.
Ohio State's going to have a slip up at some point, I think. Just the recent trajectory is not encouraging.
No, I'd agree. And those injuries on the O-line make them very susceptible, very vulnerable. I think the Buckeyes get it, though. I do, man. I do. Let's go Oregon at Michigan. Tough to travel all the way to Ann Arbor from Eugene, plus 14.5. The Wolverines are. And I'm tempted. I've been back and forth on this one. The Ducks blow them out. And then I think, I don't know, it's a tough spot to travel to. Maybe Michigan actually is frisky. Lots of pros, either side of the trenches here. Colston Loveland, big test. The Oregon wideouts, the Oregon tight end, the Oregon running back. We're watching them all.
This is how Michigan caught USC about a month ago on this road trip. And that was a really close game. They were able to actually run the ball. They didn't have to, these self-inflicted wounds, these turnovers from the quarterback position. I mean, that's what's going to determine this game is, can Michigan just sustain drives? Can they not turn the ball over? And can their studs on defense just be who they are, really? Because I do think this is going to be the toughest test Oregon has faced defensively.
Yes. 100%.
Taking the Wolverines, plus 14.5.
I'm with you. Best prospect in this game might be... Best prospect you don't know might be Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle for Oregon. And watch Josh Connerly Jr., the left tackle for Oregon. I swear, the offensive tackle one battle is wide open. Connerly isn't getting talked about and might just be OT1 in this class. This is a huge test.
Derek Harmon was almost a buff.
Dude.
He's a beast.
In this front, he would make all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Last 2 years, Derek Harmon almost a buff. Marshawn Nealand almost a buff. Yeah.
We go to the southeast where Florida takes on Georgia. It's a neutral site game. Where is
Yes,
it? Do you remember? Jacksonville. Georgia's 15-point favorites. The Gators quietly 4-3 and not total trash when we all assume Billy Napier was the first coach to get fired.
What
I'm
are you
tempted,
thinking?
man. And the
Really?
Dogs aren't covering big spreads. They are not covering. And there's a little Trevor Etienne revenge game.
Yeah.
Carson Beck, touchdown to interception ratio, 8-8 right now, brother.
Yeah.
He's trash.
He's not good.
But Ernest Green, I'm tuning in to watch Ernest Green, the left tackle for Georgia, one of my bays in this class. You're all in. Kirby takes care of business. Post Texas, we're back to believing in Kirby.
I am. They'll just do another Georgia thing where Carson Beck throws for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and they have a pick, 2 fumble returns, and a big run on offense, and they win by 17. I'll take
That's
the
called
Dogs.
boa constrictor analogy.
There you go.
Yeah, you just chip away slowly but surely, and then the margins just increase, and slowly but surely you're out of answers. 15. If it was in the swamp, I would be tempted, but I'm going to lay the points on the Dogs. Go Dogs. Okay, A&M at South Carolina, maybe the biggest rat line of the week, the cheesiest line of the week. A&M just 3-point favorites against South Carolina, who has talent all over that defense. They have Raheem Sanders on offense, and then TJ Sanders, defensive tackle, Kyle Kennard, one of the best freshmen in the entire country. Their
Dylan Stewart.
other edge, yep.
And then they have Nicholas Harbor on offense, who's a really stud freshman as well.
And then one of the best safeties in the class, and Nick Anawari. And he's like, dude, he's stacked, he's big, and he can cover. Against A&M, one of the great stories with a local kid, Fossil Ridge, Fort Collins, Trey Zune at left tackle playing really well. And the big factor is Marcel Reed, the stud freshman running quarterback who had 4 consecutive touchdown drives against LSU.
Yeah, dude was balling.
Scored on all 5 drives. Only threw it twice and still threw for more yardage than Wigman did in 16 attempts. Is that crazy? So Marcel Reese is the big X factor here. I'm tempted by the under 44, and I should have said Georgia, Florida. I like the under 52.
Okay.
The spread's a little tricky, but I like the under because if you believe in Florida, that's an unders game. If you think the Dogs just blow them out and it's like 30-10, that's also an unders game.
Yep.
So unders one way or another safe. It's only 44. Much respect for these defenses. And honestly, in trench talent, this game has as much defensive talent in the trenches as any matchup you'll see in the SEC this season.
Yep.
Which is a real testament.
Oh, man. I don't know, dude. What are you doing? What would you do? Do you trust A&M?
I am very intrigued by A&M with the freshman quarterback. LSU never forced him to be a passer. South Carolina could potentially do a better job of that. I just think it's a letdown spot, man, and it's at South Carolina.
I'll take the Gamecocks.
I'll take the +3.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be super close. I could also see this going like to OT and like you just lose this. You lose this spread pick, no
Because
matter
of-
what.
yeah,
You know,
we're doing 2-point conversions.
Is it the only ranked on ranked matchup this weekend? Oh, well, outside of Ohio State, Penn State, certainly. Pitt at SMU. Great game. Pitt's just kind of had this miraculous season. It's the latest of these games, 6 p.m. And SMU 7-point favorites in Dallas at home.
Yeah.
They're not the undefeated team, you know. They're not the higher ranked team. Pitt is, and yet Pitt's 7-point dogs. And I think that tells you everything. All the way in on the Mustangs on this one.
Yeah, Pitt's been impressive, though. They've won close. They've put up tons of points at times. Somehow I seem to just have them on almost every Saturday at 10 a.m. I don't know why.
Great. Glorious.
SMU, 1-point win over Duke last week. You know, they had the big win over Louisville a few weekends ago. I'm going to take SMU.
100% with you. There's also Louisville at Clemson. And
Okay.
that's the first test Clemson's had in a minute. And I also think Duke at Miami could be frisky. I think the ACC could have some upsets in the air.
There's been some dramatic Duke and Miami games over the years. So
For sure, man. And that defense is pretty good. They're playing some half-decent football.
I mean, look, this is okay. There's a lot of parallels this week between my last bye week because not a lot of ranked matchups that bye week. That's when Alabama Vanderbilt happened and chaos kind of ensued.
Texas Tech, Iowa State could also be on that watch.
Yep. So I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but this is the weekend. This is a type of weekend where shit just hits the fan and goes crazy.
It's November in college football, man.
Yes.
Easy for upsets to happen. It's just that time. So we will be tuning in. Lots of guys to watch for the Broncos. Exciting class for Denver's biggest needs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, that's gonna do it for us this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to the Toyota chat for keeping it popping. Leave us a thumbs up on the way out, please. We will be back next week, as always. For my guy, the Schwan Man, Dr. Dre, and Big Riley behind the sticks, we salute you. We're out.
We all silly like the mayor.